lineup, the 2 and the 8 sticks, and defensively as well, particularly with Carrillo in right field with a phenomenal arm. Zera has been playing tremendous at third base, and this is a blow for Argentina without a doubt.
So when we do that, we'll flip to the other side. Now, of course, you talk about Venezuela, winners of their last 3. They've been hitting by committee. The team just hitting .220 as far as an average goes. But you know what? They're facing the likes of a world-class pitcher in Juan Portolicio. What kind of challenges are they going to be faced with?
Lance, there's 3 guys that have got to step up for Venezuela today. John Zambrano, Rafa Flores, and Edwin Linares. All of them need to do something here today. They need to carry the load. Zambrano has gone ice cold after the first 2 games of this tournament. Flores and Linares really haven't gone on track. They're going to have to do it today.
And you're right. So let's set first the batting order for the visitors from Argentina. It's Ladislao Malarchuk that'll lead things off. Tio Migliavaca is batting second. Himio Mata is in the 3rd spot. The hard-hitting Bruno Matroni having himself a whale of a tournament up to this point. Fernando Petrick is in the 5 spot. Gustavo Godoy, one of 2 Godoys in the lineup, followed by Manuel Godoy in the 7th spot. Mariano Montero is batting 8th, and Pablo Montero is batting 9th. Defensively, first for, of course, the home team from Venezuela, it'll be Tulio Linares in left field, Edwin Linares in center, and Rogelio Sequeira in right field. Iran Paez at third base, Yadier Chirinos at short, Jorge Lima at second base, John Zambrano at first, and Rafael Flores will be catching for Eric Urbanea. So ready to get started here, Blair, and you lose, you go home. It's just as simple as that.
Saw a couple times today in social media, Lance, people talking about this is the start of the real tournament. And a lot of round-robin games to get to this point. The Elite 8 now out on the field. This is where the fun starts.
So just a short delay here before first pitch out. And, of course, it'll be Urbanea on the hill. And the ace of the squad, of course, being Ramon Jones. And we know about Ramon Jones, of course, a fiery right-hander, throws extremely hard. And you got to expect, Blair, at some point in time he's going to be called upon here to work the circle.
I think the best thing for Jones, if and when he comes in, would be for Venezuela to be in the lead. Jones is the top front runner in the tournament. Pitching from behind, he's just not quite the same guy.
And the question will be, is Venezuela the same team if they fall behind? They seem to play much better with the lead. So it'll be interesting to see here as it's money time now, and everything that had to do with the round robin is out the window, and we're still not sure what the delay is here.
I don't know whether it's lineup related, Lance, or it's something else, but we are about ready to go. Our umpires for this game, Terry Richter behind the plate, Mark Porteous of New Zealand out at first base, Jose Rodriguez of Nicaragua at second, Keith Cook, USA at third, Galip Somnes of Germany is our off-field official. Terry Richter, of course, from Alberta, Canada, just next door.
So there are umpires, the blue crew for today's game, and just like that, Urbanea pours in a strike to Ladislao Malarchuk. And that pitch missing up. Of course, Japan earlier winners over the Czech Republic. And it appears not quite sure what the issue is. Some clarification needed.
I'm going to guess it's to do with the 20-second clock, Lance. They've got to get those synced between the one that's in the outfield that the umpire is looking at, as well as the one behind home plate that the pitcher is looking at.
The 1-1 to Malarchuk's in there for a called strike to run the count to 1-2. No argument about the weather. Perfect sunny skies. A tad on the warm side, but it's always better than the other way around. And that'll miss away and run the count even 2-2.
Lance, I think when you talk to the players, they'll take the heat all day long. It's easy to get warmed up. You're nice and loose. You're flexible. You're limber. And this is the perfect kind of weather you want to be playing ball in. Just got to stay hydrated.
And it's a high chopper, fielded by Chirinos. Over to first, not in time. So the speedy Malarchuk beats out that high hopper.
Close play at first place, bang, bang. Chirinos had to wait for that ball to come down. He's got a real strong arm, but just nudging out that call is Malarchuk.
That time speed won out over strength, and Tio Migliovaca steps in, the center fielder. Migliovaca, the second leading hitter on this team, batting .467 in the round robin.
7 hits. He's really done a good job playing very good center field defense, very speedy. And Argentina can get you a number of different ways, Lance, as you well know. They can get you with power, and they can also get you with speed and the small ball.
And that pitch missing up. So leadoff man aboard in Malarchuk. And it'll be up to Migliovaca to, at the very least, advance the runner. I think when you get into the playoff round, you have to treat every base runner like he's gold. And the bunt attempt is fouled. So I thoroughly expect that trying to manufacture runs will be a big thing for both of these teams.
Well, both of these teams do play the conventional small ball, and that is one of the biggest differences between North American teams, U.S. and Canada in particular, as well as, from the South American teams, where the small ball is much more prevalent still. It's much more practice, obviously, and they're very good at it.
So 2-1 to count here to Migliovaca, just underway. And he did, and a strike is called, so the count even at 2-2.
Urbanea is just murder on left-handed batters. He throws an assortment of curveballs and spins and changeups, and if you're a left-handed batter like Migliovaca here, it is really tough to try and square up anything, either for a bunt or even a hit, because the ball is always moving away from you.
And that slap attempt goes foul. And if you look at Migliovaca, very few guys are able to do this where they have their hands spread apart on the bat. So a little space between the two, and it certainly takes away from a bit of power, but allows for a little more control. Not a lot of people are able to do that, so it is really a fine skill. Off speed, miss and bounces in the dirt, runner staying put. Count full now at 3-2. So Urbanea is certainly not helping his own cause here early on, throwing a lot of pitches to the first two batters. In case you missed it, it was Japan, 8-3 winners over the Czech Republic. That's a ground ball. Might be two, flip to one, over to first, not in time. Just a bit too slow a roller. So 4-6 on the fielder's choice. Malarchuk cut down the lead runner, but Migliovaca standing at first base for Himomata.
Lance, we've gone from the speed part of the order now to the power with Mata and Matroni. Malarchuk and Migliovaca, they're up there to set the table, and then you bring up the big boppers in Mata and Matroni.
That pitch up and in.
Mata 357 through the round robin. Had that triple to the fence in the Canada game off of Paul Court to make that seventh inning a little bit more nervous than perhaps it needed to be.
Good off-speed pitch.
And right there is the essence of Eric Urbanea. The changeup. Now that you've got a right-handed batter at the plate after a lefty, he'll throw that dipper on the outside corner and just try to bend it around the plate.
And ties him up. So brings the change, pulls the string, and then comes back with it hard and tight on the inside corner. Best way to pitch to big guys like Mata. Can't get the arms extended. You tie him up a bit with the inside pitch, so a good job by Urbanea to go ahead and account 1-2.
Well, he's relatively fresh, too. He's only thrown, I think, 7 or 8 innings through the course of the round robin.
And he misses in, count even at 2-2. And they've been very deliberate, Blair, about the way they're utilizing their pitchers. It seems that they have started Ramon Jones a couple of games, but on a whole, they're starting a couple other guys. I've seen Joan Colombo. I've also seen Eder Pineda. So these guys get the start. The leash is relatively short. Hopefully they can get you to around the fourth inning. Swing and a miss. And in comes the hard-throwing Ramon Jones to close the door. So down goes Mata. First strikeout of the ball game for Urbanea.
Well, and that was the game plan coming in for Venezuela, was to have Colombo and Pineda chew up the innings where and when they can, get through the batting order once, get through it twice if that's a bonus, and then, as you said, go to Jones. Spot start Urbanea, keep him fresh for the playoffs. I know Team Canada in particular not looking forward to having to play this guy if it comes to it. He's had their number the last couple of international events. They did beat him in a pre-tournament game up in Prince Albert, about 90 minutes up the road from here last week. But pre-tournament games and playoff games, two totally different animals.
So the team's leading hitter in Bruno Matroni. And he's been more than a handful, batting .533. 8 for 15. So awfully tough to get Matroni out.
Well, these two spent the season together last year on the club circuit as well, playing in Wisconsin. So there's more than passing familiarity here.
And Urbanea try to bust him inside. Count now 3-0. Doing their best to maybe unintentionally, intentionally pitch around Matroni. And that ball's a ground ball, and it looks like Manuel Godoy. Sorry, it is John Zambrano that will handle it himself, 3 unassisted, and that will do it. So leadoff runner squandered. We head now to the bottom of the first. Of course, Venezuela to bat when we come back.
For l'Argentine, the pitcher for Argentina, and the catcher, number 28, Bruno Matroni.
Back here for the bottom of the first inning. Set the lineup for Venezuela. Yadier Chirinos will lead things off, followed by Tulio Linares. Lucio Pinto batting the 3 spot. John Zambrano, the cleanup hitter. Rafael Flores in the 5 spot. Edwin Linares batting 6th. Jorge Lima batting 7th. Aran Paez is in the 8th spot. And Rogelio Sequeira batting 9th. Defensively for Argentina, Fernando Petrick, Tio Migliavaca, and Ladislao Malarchuk. Left to right in the outfield. Himo Mata's at third. Gustavo Godoy at short. Pablo Montero at second. Manuel Godoy at first base. And Rafael Flores doing the catching for Juan Portolicio.
Sorry, Lance, that's my mistake. It's Bruno Matroni, of course, catching for Argentina, not Rafa Flores.
Well, I stand correct, so thank you very much for clearing that up.
That's my mistake on your board. I apologize.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you taking responsibility for that.
Listen, that's what we're all about here, responsibility.
That's right, and accountability, exactly, among other things that we don't have to mention. So Yadier Chirinos, the shortstop, is set for his first look at Juan Portolicio. And a big swing and a miss. And Chirinos usually doesn't waste any time. He takes a good, healthy hack at that first pitch if it's around the strike zone.
We were watching Venezuela the other night, and to a man, for the first 2 times through the lineup, they swung at every first pitch.
Very aggressive offensively is the Venezuelan squad. It certainly hasn't translated into a high team batting average, but when you're winning ball games, where, which one do you pick?
Well, like you said earlier, it's been hitting by committee. It's been a team effort for Venezuela. There's a couple of guys at the top of the shop. Chirinos is one of them, but Carlos Ojeda, Luis Pinto, John Zambrano's average all came in those first 2 games, and he needs to get off the schneid to really help Venezuela.
Well, I think this team, they haven't got a lot of hits and don't have a high team batting average, but what they do specialize in is swing and a miss, so down goes Chirinos. First strikeout victim for Portolicio. So they don't actually get a lot of hits, but what they do get is timely hits. So maybe a couple of walks, and then the next guy comes in and he'll bang in a run. So not a whole lot of hits wasted or runners in scoring position wasted. They seem to have been able to get that hit when they needed it. Tulio Linares, again, first pitch swing, and he swings through for strike 1.
And the first couple of right-handed batters here for Venezuela, they're going to find out about that big sweeping curve ball that Juan Portolicio throws. Sometimes he throws it with the rise spin as well, and it is virtually impossible to hit as a right-handed batter.
And that was it right there, Blair, as you saw it come right across. It almost comes diagonally right across the plate. Starts on the inside, finishes on the outside. And he's got good command of that pitch. And that pitch is lifted up and foul out of play. So I think we were intrigued by this matchup. Weren't quite sure if the Venezuelan bats would be able to handle the likes of Portolicio, but again, there's some familiarity there, and certainly no intimidation factor when you talk about the, Portolicio in the circle.
Nobody is going to intimidate anybody else in this game. Juan does throw in the Venezuelan league during the off season here in North America. Look, when I was talking about this game to Kyle and you and Jim and Joe off air, in my mind, this game was always a pick'em. And I give this game the edge, the slight edge, to Argentina just on the intangibles. And that's my pick here, Lance, at the beginning of the game at the outset.
So big swing and a miss. Down goes Tulio Linares. Second strikeout in as many hitters for Portolicio, and that'll bring up Luis Pinto, the designated player.
And it may come down to who scores first. Neither of these teams are known for being comeback teams, and that's what it may come down to. If you can score first, you might be able to hang on and win this one.
So 2 away here, nobody aboard for Pinto. Pinto batting with a 333 average, and again there will be time called.
I'm not sure whether that was a 20-second violation. The clock was down to 0. Juan, as we know in the past, Lance, has never been accused of being a quick worker. He's improved, I would say, over the last couple of years. But this 20-second rule, I think Juan Portolicio, as much as anybody else, probably responsible for it being here in place.
Big swing and a miss. I'm sure he was a factor in the decision, without a doubt.
Listen, there's a couple of other guys, too. This is not solely
it's
on
not all
Juan.
on Juan. You're absolutely right. It is not. But I think a good addition to speed up the game just a bit. I don't think you can give guys the luxury of taking their time. It seems like they'll always find a gray area. They'll always find a way to extend things just a bit. An extra ball, I don't want that one. I want the one that just went in the stands, wait for it to get thrown in, those sort of things. So that's a one-hit chopper to short. Godoy over in time. 1-2-3, down go. Team Venezuela back here with the top of the second inning on Sports Canada TV. So back here, as we've played one complete inning, scoreless ball game, Argentina, Venezuela. It will be Fernando Petrek, followed by Gustavo Godoy and Manuel Godoy, the scheduled 3 hitters for Team Argentina. And Eric Urbanea in there for a called strike. Petrek got off to a bit of a slow start, struggled defensively in the first couple games of the tournament, has settled in, and that's a ground ball. Backhanded by Chirinos. Plant throw in time. And if you haven't seen Yadier Chirinos play short, you're in for a treat. He's very talented, good range, good arm, and a great glove. So that will bring up Gustavo Godoy, the shortstop. Of course, Gustavo, not a bad shortstop in his own right.
There is a ton of talent here in these two South American teams, without a doubt. And we're seeing more and more of it in North America on the club team circuit over the course of the summer. But it is fabulous to see them all together here with their national teams and really get the best of both worlds with this type of exposure.
And I think the advantage you have, Blair, is that you're able to see these guys when they're scattered playing on their club teams peel down, and yes, he did go. So 0-2 the count. You get a chance to see these guys play with other players against their own teammates that are on the national team. So it must be a treat when you get to see them all playing collectively for their country.
Yeah, it really is. And, you see a guy like Eric Urbanea pitching on a Saturday afternoon at a club team tournament, and then you see him here pitching for Venezuela. And not that he's not trying with his club team, but it is it's a difference. There's no doubt about that. Same with Ramon Jones. It's just different when you put on your national team colors. And you ask Sean Cleary, Adam Folkert, it's the exact same thing there as well.
So down goes Godoy. Second strikeout for Urbanea. And that'll bring up Manuel Godoy. And we mentioned about, of course, Juan Portolicio on the side of Argentina, but some good throwers there, including a young man named Roman Godoy. Pitch is chop foul. We saw Roman in the junior circuit last year in Whitehorse, and he's taken the leap up to the senior level, and he certainly brings enough to the table. So you talk about a talented young Argentinian team, and they certainly have a lot of talent that will be around and will be the mainstay for them for years to come.
Ramon Godoy, just 20 years old, and he reminds me of Adam Folkert when he came onto the men's circuit. Adam was a little bit younger, first started pitching in North America, I think, when he was 17 or 18. But Ramon is going to be on the club team circuit this year for the end of the summer. Of course, we've still got the Pan Am games to go. And I'm not saying he's going to be Adam Folkert. I'm just saying he reminds me of Adam Folkert more or less at the same age.
Well, good. We got that cleared up. The 0-2 missing up. Count now 1-2. You can just catch a nice breeze here as it's cooling things off just a bit. Fans appreciating it, as are we up in our hot booth here. And that ball lifted up. It's going to stay in play. Going to be a long run. And the grab made, though, by Jorge Lima.
That's a great play by Lima, who's got the job done offensively as well as defensively here for Venezuela this week.
So that will do it now as we head to the home half of the second. Scoreless ball game. Elimination. Back in a moment. Back here for the bottom of the second inning, it'll be John Zambrano, followed by Rafael Flores and Edwin Linares.
Well, John Zambrano way back in the first game of the week for Venezuela. In fact, I think it was game 1 of the tournament. May have only been game 2. 2 home runs, a grand slam, 6 RBIs in total. But since then, not so much.
Not so much. And when you're facing the likes of Juan Portolicio, you don't expect Juan to give up a whole lot. So a good challenge here for Zambrano. Man, big hack there. Another first pitch swinger.
So the difference with Juan with the lefties is he's going to throw that curve starting well off the plate and just try to bite the outside corner on the lefties. You can't give up on that pitch as a left-handed batter. You've got to watch for the break and then try to meet that ball just as it gets to that corner.
Sure, easier said than done when he's up there throwing BBs. And a swing and a miss. Came inside and got Zambrano to swing over it for strike 2.
Well, listen, if we could both still do it, we'd be down there doing it.
Well, exactly. So, I mean,
that's why we're up here.
That's why we are up here. And a good 0-2 pitch misses up in the zone to run the count to 1-2. They're going to check it, I guess.
No, it's an illegal pitch. He's not quite making contact with his back foot with the board. And that's what our third base umpire, Keith Cook from the USA, is calling. I noticed that a little bit earlier, that his back foot just seems to be offset about 2 or 3 inches, and he's just got to slide that up to be in contact with the board.
I thought it might have been no pause, but you're probably right about the back foot.
No, I watched the umpire just kind
what
of
his signal
tap down
was, right?
with his foot. Yeah.
And that pitch misses up to run the count even at 2-2.
So the rule, just in case you're wondering, for the ISF, you have to have both feet in contact with the board when you start your motion. Once you go from there, you can get airborne, you can land and throw, but you got to start with both feet on the board.
That's chop foul. Count will remain 2-2. I'm going to double check that count. It might actually be a full count after that illegal pitch. It's got 2-2 on the board.
Yeah, but I think the illegal pitch is a ball no matter what. You don't get an extra ball.
No, and that's why I thought it was, the count was 1-2. Legal pitch made it 2-2, and then a ball made it 3-2, but not the case, as that pitch misses there. And sure enough, that'll run the count full, 3-2.
Had that illegal pitch been a strike, it would have been called a ball.
Remind our viewers, stick around. Team Canada taking on Australia. And that's in there for a called strike. So Zambrano, his struggles continue. And
got to be careful there, John Zambrano. You can't lose your cool.
You can. He certainly had plenty to say about the outside corner. At the same time, you got to take that bat off your shoulder and protect that part of the plate when you've got 2 strikes on you, particularly in a full count. That'll bring up Rafael Flores, 1 down here in the inning.
So Rafa, who's been in the 4 spot all week, dropped to 5. And it's funny, Zambrano, who has been struggling as well, elevated from the 7 up into the 4 hole.
That pitch just missing. Not quite sure where it was. I don't think Juan knows where it was either. It looked like a pretty good pitch.
I think Juan knows exactly where it was. He just wants to know where the strike zone went.
Yeah, that might exactly be the question. Rafael Flores not saying a word, and that's probably the best way to go. 1-0, missing out, 2-0 the count. And Juan's got to stay composed as well. I mean, your body language isn't going to get you any more calls from the home plate umpire, but it may get you fewer calls. So you got to watch there. And that pitch missing up, and I don't know. And again, Blair, we always say we don't have the best vantage point up here. That pitch looked very good. And I think that it's important maybe to have a bit of a conference here just to regroup.
Yeah, this is a really good move here by the coach, Julio Gamarsi, who was a pitcher in his day, and I'm sure he knows exactly the frustration that Juan is feeling, that had a couple of close calls, didn't go his way. He's going to go out and talk to Juan, and it's actually Mark Porteous from New Zealand, right?
That's who I believe it is, or it could be
Our list here
John
had
Han. I think it's John Han from the
Is it from the
USA
US?
is who it looks like it is.
Because that's Terry Richter at first.
So I think we're going to have to revamp. And
yeah, our list here had Terry Richter, but I wondered about that when I actually read it because it didn't look like Terry Richter from behind. That is him at first. That does look like Jose Rodriguez from Nicaragua at second. And I think that's Keith Cook at third. But I think you're right, Lance. I think that is John Hand from the USA.
So the 3-0 in there for a called strike.
And that's all on Rafa Flores. If you don't do what you did there, you're at first base.
So if you want to play cat and mouse with the umpy, you're probably going to lose that battle every time. 3-1, they're going to check it, and yes, he did. It doesn't help when you run down and throw your bat either on a questionable pitch before the call is made either.
You know, well, this is just some of the games within the games, and Rafa Flores does it as much or more so than anybody here in the tournament, and he's pretty histrionic about it as well.
Well, I'll tell you what he'd better do is anything close.
Better be swinging.
3-2 pitch, you better take the bat off your shoulder, because I guarantee you, you will be grabbing yourself a seat. And that pitch will miss in. So eventually the walk to Flores, and that'll bring up Edwin Linares, the center fielder.
That's some gamesmanship there with Rafa Flores and Juan as well. Both of these guys are trying to work the umpire a little bit. John Hand is not going to be swayed by any of that.
And that big cut, first pitch swinging, is Linares, Edwin. And he's in the hole now 0-1. We expect a big crowd on hand for Canada-Australia.
Oh, I would think we're going to get back up to that 6,200, maybe 6,500 mark.
That pitch lifted up down the line, drifting foul, and they scatter in the beer garden.
It almost looked like somebody ran into that one as opposed to away from it.
Sometimes not everyone's played any ball and knows to go away from it, not towards it. Dominican Republic and New Zealand to follow Canada, Australia. Those, of course, the double life games. The winner of those games will swing and a miss. So down goes Linares. The winner of those games advances to the semifinals. The losers will drop down and play the winners of the single elimination games. Of course, one of them being Japan, and the winner of this game. So important to earn double life. Just gives you that extra chance to come back and move on when you get into the medal round, hence the importance of it during the round robin.
But you wanted to stay on the top, play one fewer game to get to that gold medal game, save the wear and tear on the body, certainly the wear and tear on your top pitchers as well.
Big cut from Jorge Lima. Again, I think him being the seventh hitter sent up. All seven have taken a rip at the first pitch from Juan Portolicio.
Sorry, Lance. Edwin Lenara is dropping from the 3 spot down to the 7 spot in the order, and just reflective of the fact that he just cannot get on track here with this tournament.
So again, a team that doesn't collect a lot of hits, but they do collect the timely ones, is Venezuela. They have a base runner in Rafael Flores, who worked a 1-out walk.
Edwin's only got 1 hit there this week, and that 0.59 average, he's earned his spot right there.
So Juan missing down and out. Count now 1-2.
Lance, just while we got an opportunity, want to say hi to Margaret Ryan, watching back in Acton, Ontario. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Look forward to seeing you soon.
And that ball's lifted up, and you can get out of this ballpark right now into the trees. Home run, Jorge Lima, 2-run shot. Venezuela leads this one 2-0. So they were taking a healthy cut at the first pitch, and this time a connection from Jorge Lima. And Venezuela strikes first, courtesy a 2-run shot.
This is exactly what the doctor ordered for Venezuela, an early lead. They might be one of the best front-running teams in the tournament. In fact, they are one of the best front-running teams in this tournament. Perhaps only Australia with Adam Folkert on the mound can lay claim to that one.
So not swinging at the first pitch is Iran Paez. Paez here having to follow up that 2-run shot. And a swing and a miss. So in the hole, 0-2.
Paez was in the 2 spot earlier in the week and struck out with the bases loaded yesterday against the Dominican Republic, pulled from the game immediately thereafter, and today finds himself batting 8.
That pitch bounced in there from Portalicio. So the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And that pitch up and in. So a bit of a purpose pitch there to maybe back Paez off the plate. Big guy tends to hang a bit over the strike zone. And a swing and a miss. So down goes Paez to end the inning, but not before Jorge Lima has given his team a 2-0 lead. Back here with the top of the third in a moment.
On the deuxième manche, bottom of the second inning, 2 runs on 1 hit, no errors and no one left on base. 2 points sur un coup sûr, aucune erreur et aucun homme laissé sur les buts. Après 2 manches de jeu, after 2 innings of play, équipe Venezuela 2 points, l'équipe Argentina 0. At bat au bâton, numéro 17, number 17, le JD de DP, Mariano Montero.
Back to the top of the third inning. It'll be Mariano Montero, followed by Pablo Montero, then back to the top of the shop in Ladislav Malarchuk. The scheduled hitters for Argentina trailing 2-0 to Eric Urbanea and Team Venezuela. So a good time for an answer of some sort. First you start with a base runner, and that pitch is fouled out of play.
Don't forget, fans, there's some money for those
So like you said, Blair, if Urbanea can get them once, maybe twice through the order with minimal amount of damage, then that sets the stage for Ramon Jones and makes it awfully difficult to mount a comeback when he's in that circle. So set to go here, 1-1 count to Mariano Montero. And a big swing and a miss. So a healthy cut on the rise ball. Urbanea took a little something off it. Working on top is Urbanea. And that'll leave the count at 2-2. And Ospeed waited on and lifted out to left field, but not a problem for Tulio Linares. First out of the third inning.
Lance, another fan back in Ontario we want to say hello to. Sylvia Ryan, battling through some computer problems and getting everything in working order here just in time to join us. Sylvia, glad you're with us.
Always glad to have you around, Sylvia. So Pablo Montero squares to bunt or slaps and takes for a strike. Lance Wynn, Blair Setford, the entire ballpark broadcasting crew on hand here, partnered with Sports Canada TV. Glad to have you with us. Pitch missing down. As we move along through this tournament, we're on day 8 of 10. This, of course, single elimination game. We are now in the playoff round. Canada, Australia to follow, followed by Dominican Republic, New Zealand. Pitch foul down the line. So if you're worried about those games that were 5 innings, you're not going to see those anymore. That's done with. It's just the big boys now.
Well, we thought we might see one in the Japan-Czech game, and Thomas Benda slamming a 3-run shot to ensure that that game would at least get to the 7-inning mark. And it ended 8-3 for Japan.
And I think we called that based on the fact that despite the Czech Republic team being strong through the round robin, their last game in the round robin, they played New Zealand. New Zealand mercied them 11-1. And our question was, do the Czech team have enough experience to be able to rebound from that? We thought no, and I think we were right. Slow roller, fielded by the second baseman in time. So a good play there from Jorge Lima, doing it with the bat and with the glove. A tough play to get the speedy Montero. And there'll be 2 out for Ladislav Malarchuk.
I thought that was just about a perfect drag bunt. He got it by the pitcher, Urbanea, but Lima was able to come in and get it there. You see it by Urbanea, and a good strong throw to get him by a eyelash. Let's call it that.
It's probably a very good analogy. Let's go with the eyelash as Urbanea starts Malarchuk off with a strike. Urbanea's got a lot up his sleeve. He's very tricky. He moves it around. He changes speeds. He's probably not going to overpower you on a regular basis, but he could definitely finesse you into pop-ups, ground-outs, or even strikeouts.
Well, these 2 young lefties, Malarchuk and Migliavaca, they're going to get a lesson today from Eric Urbanea on left-handed pitching.
The fact that he comes from the left side is a definite advantage. Just takes you that second longer to find that release point. Sometimes it takes you maybe 2 at-bats before you're comfortable. As that ball is fouled down the first baseline. We find that with Paul Court, for example, of Team Canada, big, hard-throwing left-hander. Because of the way he has a bit of a twist, he hides the ball very long, which makes it difficult sometimes to pick up his release point. Same sort of thing with Urbanea. He doesn't throw as hard as Court does, but he certainly has, I would say, a more variety of pitches.
Oh, definitely, and he rarely throws the same pitch twice with the same speed and the same at bat. And you may not see the same pitch twice at the same speed the entire game in your 3, if you're lucky, 4 at bats.
So the count even at 2-2. 2 away, nobody aboard. And that dipped down but missed. And again, hard, sharp, foul ball, screamer. Knocked down by a fan there, which was good. No damage done. Not quite sure how his palm feels right now, but he's certainly not rubbing it, so
don't rub it.
Good on him. So full count still to Ladislav Malarchuk, the leadoff hitter for Argentina. He singled. It was an infield hit to lead off the ball game. Off speed is lifted up to right field, tracking but running out of room. Get out of this ballpark. Home run for Ladislav Malarchuk. A 2-out solo shot has trimmed the deficit in half. They trail now 2-1.
Just sat back on the changeup, kept the hands back, and able to get the barrel of the bat through the zone. That is a real good piece of hitting there by Ladislav Malarchuk. And you have to wonder, Lance, is this something that the Argentine team has been able to do? Can they get a pick on Eric Urbanea and sit on the changeup?
Well, I tell you, based on the way Malarchuk kept the hands back, he certainly wasn't fooled by the pitch by any means. So give him credit there, as he has gotten Team Argentina on the board, and now it's Teo Migliovaca.
One difference between Migliovaca hitting in this spot compared to Zera. Migliovaca not a home run hitter. Zera, as we saw earlier in the week, can put the ball out of the park. That's not Migliovaca's game.
That ball ripped down the line, foul.
And I'm not sure if that got our young cameraman. I think that did down the first baseline. He was able to get the hands up, but we'll want to check on our cameraman there and make sure he's all right. That looked like it smoked one of our cameramen.
Well, fortunately, he looks like he's okay. And resilient young man, it pays to be young, Blair, that's for sure.
That's a good thing. Good, would have gone right through you or me.
Well, exactly. So good on him, as Urbanea missing down. 2-1 to Migliovaca. Reach base on a fielder's choice in the first. And nibbling on the outside corner was Urbanea. Doesn't get any of it, so 3-1 to count. There are some occupational hazards here in this ballpark.
You would think that where he is located is almost in behind a fence. It would be virtually impossible to pull a ball into that spot.
Beautiful bunt laid down and throw in time. So a good job by Rafael Flores to record the out, but not before. Team Argentina pulls a run closer. Ladislav Malarchuk, 2-1, back here for the bottom of the third.
At the top of the third inning, 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on. Nobody left on. Un point sur un coup sûr. Aucune erreur et aucun an laissé sur les buts.
So to the bottom of the third inning we go. 2-1 the score in favor of Team Venezuela, and fortunately all cameramen are accounted for safely, no injuries, no one on the DL. And prior to this, Blair, we were talking about guys that are usually offensive threats don't get enough credit for their defense, and we saw an example there from Rafael Flores.
Absolutely. Out like a cat on that bunt from Teo Migliavaca and getting the speedy youngster at first base. And I've seen that a couple of times this week from Flores. He really moves well for a big man behind the plate.
So Rogelio Sequeira will lead things off here, the number 9 hitter. His first look at Juan Portolicio, and that pitch down in the zone. Count even at 1-1.
Thrown in the bullpen for Argentina now is Roman Godoy.
And a big swing and a miss. Sequeira almost came out of his cleats there, taking a rip at that one.
Well, it took something off of it, but it's an illegal pitch from our third base umpire, Keith Cook from the U.S. So Juan got to keep that foot closer to the board.
Well, they're very tight here in the ISF as far as the rules go. Sometimes, of course, different leagues, different places allow a certain amount of leeway as far as what the pitchers are allowed to do and not allowed to do. So sometimes takes a bit of time to shake some of those habits. Juan, of course, no stranger to the international game and playing within those guidelines. So with the exception of the shot clock that has been instituted for the first time here in the senior men's, everything else, though, is status quo. And that's on the outside corner for a called strike. So count even at 2-2. Two to 1 the score in favor of Venezuela. And a swing and a miss. So Portolicio on point after giving up that home run to Jorge Lima has struck out the next 2 batters, dating back an inning. And that'll bring up the leadoff hitter, Yadier Chirinos. Chirinos struck out in the first. And that pitch, hard swing, drifting foul. So again, Chirinos not getting cheated on his swings. He takes a healthy rip. And it's always good to stay consistent at the same time. Pardon me, adjustments have to be made when you're facing the likes of Juan Portolicio. A pitch missing up in the zone. We were marveling yesterday at some teams where the umpires, and you know, Blair, what you really ask of an umpire as a hitter is to be consistent. Same with the pitcher. If your zone is a lenient outside corner, then you're giving the outside and not the inside. Then hitters have to know that. Don't stand at the plate and what's called a strike before, regardless of whether or not you think it's a strike or not. You've got to protect that plate. And a swing and a miss. And you've got guys that go up there and they complain about it. They strike out. Then they go up again, make no adjustments, strike out again and complain about it again and blame the umpire.
It's all about the adjustments, and the adjustment that Juan Portolicio is making right now is on the strike zone for John Hand. He's not getting the call up in the zone, so Juan is adjusting and is throwing that curveball a little bit further outside where he seems to be getting the outside corner.
And that's the second straight strikeout where he's worked the outside corner, and that will bring up Tulio Linares, the left fielder. He, of course, was strikeout victim number 2 back in the first.
2 of 7 so far for Juan.
And that ball is driven out and over the head of the right fielder, which is Malarchuk. Rounding second and into third base with a 2-out triple is Tulio Linares.
So Malarchuk, who has played a lot of second base this week, moving out to right field in place of Carrillo. And you see right there the defensive difference. Don't know that Carril catches that ball, but I'll be honest with you, Malarchuk did not take a good path. He hesitated off the bat. He went a step to his right before realizing that that ball was going to be over his head instead of immediately breaking back.
And I say that when you have an experienced right fielder out there, you take a different path, and I think that would have been the difference in that ball, landing and going for a triple or being caught. So Lugio Pinto steps in after grounding out in the first. His second look at Portolicio, who nibbles on that outside corner for a called strike. So a chance here for Venezuela to answer and restore that two-run cushion if they can push this run across here with a clutch hit from Pinto. And a swing and a miss. So Portolicio went outside and then busted him high inside.
And I think that's what you've got to do with Pinto is to come up and in. He's down in a crouch, and when you change the eye level and you have to elevate yourself out of that crouch to hit the rise ball, typically all you're going to do is pop that up.
And nibbling, but no bite there. But you see the pitching sequence that Matroni and Portolicio are working with. And that pitch missing out. So the count even at 2-2. And that pitch missing out, so that's run the count full. Pinto has battled back, was in the hole, and has now battled the count full.
Well, they've gone outside twice. I'm going to guess and say they're going to come back inside. See if we can get a shot of Matroni putting down location.
And sure enough, came back inside on the hands. Pinto just got enough of it. So the count remains full. Well, you came in, and now you expect Portolicio to work the outside corner here.
I think I'd be going back inside. He just hasn't been biting on that outside pitch whatsoever. You don't want to hang one.
And he went to the outside corner. And fouled away. Not going to say anything about what happens when you go against me. Since neither of us have been in the circle or behind the dish. Swing and a miss. He comes upstairs to record the out. So a 2-0 triple squandered. No runs, one hit, one runner left aboard. We played 3 complete. Back for the 4th here on Sports Canada TV.
No errors and one man left on base. Aucun point sur un coup sûr. Aucune erreur et un homme. Laissez
Back here for the top of the fourth inning. It'll be Humo Mata, followed by Bruno Matroni and Fernando Petric for the Argentinian squad. Trailing 2-1 here to Venezuela. This, of course, a single elimination game.
And this has gone about as we expected, Lance. Low scoring, dominated by the pitchers. Long ball has been the name of the game in terms of scoring.
It's a chopper. Looks like it was foul. Went off.
No, illegal pitch called.
Illegal
and
pitch.
He's saying Terry Richter, who called this from the other side, from first base side, same thing. You got to be in contact with the board. And he pointed down at the foot, and then he made a motion of about 8 or 10 inches and said, no, you're way too far back from the board.
You always like sometimes pitchers will tend to think the umpire will forget as the game goes on, or just trying to gain a wee little bit of an advantage there. Swing and a miss from Humo Mata.
Well, there's the old NASCAR adage, I think it is, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the case here. You're right. Every little advantage helps. Big swing and a miss. Mata chasing one way up and out of the zone. And now it's one thing when you chase a rise ball that starts in the zone and ends up out of the zone. But that rise ball looked like it was out of the zone in the early stages. Either way, easy to say up here. Slow roller, fielded by Urbanet over to first in time. So 1-3 the put out, and that'll bring up Bruno Matroni. Of course, Matroni 0 for 1. He grounded to first in his only other at bat.
Lance, another difference between the North American game and the South American game, and it's on defense, where you look at the corners, and maybe we can get a shot of where first baseman John Zambrano was playing. He is 10, 12 feet behind the bag.
Well, you're right. Usually in the North American side, you're in tighter. As that two-hopper handled neatly by Jorge Lima. Not an easy play. You don't know what you're going to get on that second bounce when it's hit that hard. But Lima, a good job of staying in there, good hands, and makes the play. So that'll bring up Fernando Petric with 2 away. And if you are Venezuela, with the exception of that home run in the third, you got to like what Urbanet has done up to this point. As he tries to catch that outside part of the plate, but does not. And a swing and a miss. 1-1 the count. A nice breeze, Blair, but I don't think enough to be a real factor out on the diamond. That pitch missing down.
And we heard from some of the Canada players earlier in the week that the breeze really doesn't make its way down to the field, with the stadium seating here kind of intercepting a lot of that. When you look at the flags that are out on some of the tents and the scoreboard of the hardball diamond, they're barely fluttering.
And that ball's cued foul. Well, conditions always different from our vantage point and that of the players. Still, when you have a bit of wind, maybe it'll matter depending on those balls that are lifted sky high. May find their way in the jet stream or not. But I tell you, being at this from this vantage point, that sure is a nice breeze and nice to have it.
Oh, absolutely up here.
Urbanea missing way out. So Petrik working the count now. He's worked it full. And a two-hopper to first. Flip over to Urbanet in time. Score that one 3-1. Haven't seen too many of those. A good play, though. Head now to the bottom of the fourth inning. Score remains 2-1 in favor of Venezuela. Back here on Sports Canada TV.
No man left on base. Aucun point, aucune couture, aucune erreur et aucun homme laissé sur les buts. Au bâton, at bat, number 17, le joueur de premier but, the first baseman, John Zambrano.
Welcome back to Bob Van Impe Stadium. Lance Wynn, Blair Setford. Glad to have you with us here, as this being day one of the playoff round, single elimination game between Argentina and Venezuela. 2-1 the score, as you can see on your screen. It'll be John Zambrano followed by Rafael Flores and Edwin Linares, the scheduled hitters for Venezuela here in the the bottom half of the fourth. And that curveball in there for a strike. Zambrano, of course, just not having a good day with home plate umpire John Hann at all. And like you said, Blair, it might be a wise decision to limit the conversation. Orlicio missing up. And Blair, you look at it and you're right. If you look at Manuel Godoy at first base, he's playing back. And they've got to shift on. And Zambrano couldn't hold up. He's down on strike. So the shift may have thrown him for a bit of a loop. Either way, he struck out for the second time today, and that'll bring up Rafael Flores. Of course, Flores walked and was on base when Jorge Lima launched a two-run shot in the second inning to give Venezuela their 2-1, well, their 2 runs.
You don't often see the shift in softball. I remember it used to be employed a lot against Colin Abbott. Zambrano definitely a dead pull hitter.
I pitch in there for a strike.
But your catcher and your pitcher have to be on the same page too. If you're going to do that, you got to throw inside and make him hit it into the shift. You can't leave anything outside, and then he can go the opposite way with it. Well, or you can just strike him out.
Well, that too. That's always an option. It's funny because we used to play against a guy who was a dead pull hitter all the time, and we never really put on the shift, but I knew that pretty much 95% of the time
this one guy
was going to hit the ball hard my way. I mean, he happens to be to my left right now, and you talk about a dead pull hitter. That's you, as down goes Rafael Flores. I think you would have to agree with me there that not a lot of times did we worry about you going the other way. And not to say that you know, there are plenty of times where it didn't matter where I played. It's a hit, right? So, but I think that one thing you knew for sure was that you were probably going to come to this side, these first base, second base side of the infield before you went to the other side.
I think the best answer I ever heard about from anybody with respect to the shift was indeed the great Colin Abbott. And Colin said, I used to try to hit the ball over the fence every time.
That sure makes it easier. So Edwin Linares, and a good play from Juan Portolicio, and a little tap there, but nothing. So 1-3, and that will do it. 1-2-3, down, go. Team Venezuela, nothing doing in the bottom of the fourth. We'll do our slide to 5 when we come back here on Sports Canada TV.
Team Venezuela 2, Team Argentina 1. L'équipe de Venezuela, 2 points. L'équipe de l'Argentine, 1.
Back here for our slide to 5, it'll be Gustavo Godoy, followed by Manuel Godoy and Mariano Montero. So like you said, Blair, certainly got to be thrilled with what Eric Urbanea has done in the circle for Venezuela up to this point.
Well, only 7.1 innings pitched in the tournament, but they haven't been particularly effective innings. Urbanea has been pulled out of a couple of games, but really cruising here right now. Not striking out a lot of guys, just getting ground ball after ground ball. That's exactly what you want. Let this defense do the work behind you.
And it is a good defense. And had a notion, couldn't pull the trigger, but a strike anyway to Gustavo Godoy. Godoy struck out in the second. And that ball shot out to right field, a base hit. So a solid single from Gustavo Godoy, leadoff man aboard for Argentina.
He's been the first base runner since the third inning home run by Malarchuk. And before that, you had to go all the way back to the first for base runners when Malarchuk and Migliavaca were aboard.
So in steps Manuel Godoy. He popped out in the second. Squares, and his bunt attempt comes up empty. Now, I always wonder, Blair, about your bunt attempt. Your bat should not be going up and down. It should be going forward position to back to deaden the blow, as opposed to trying to come down on the ball. And that's a much better attempt, but can't keep it between the lines.
It was a little better. He's trying to surprise people with the bunt. You're not surprising anybody. This is a sacrifice. You've got to get it down. You don't want to put it right at any of the fielders so they can turn and try to make a play at second. But the primary thing here is to get it down. And if you're waiting to the absolute last second, that's a lot of moving parts.
And Urbanea, good job behind there.
Well, yeah, good job by Flores, but certainly playing it up, too. You want to talk about people exaggerating a little.
Listen, and I never said exaggerate. Embellish, yes. Exaggerate, no.
Well, you know what? That was an embellishment.
But that was an embellishment. Okay. I think that might have been as high as Flores ever got in his life, and he surprised himself.
That was a good vertical, without a doubt. That was a vertical.
I don't know if Flores has been known for that, and that might be the end, as it'll be a visit from manager Perez. And
well, Jones just got up for Venezuela. We've been keeping an eye on that bullpen down there, and he just got up. He doesn't look like he's throwing anywhere near game ready down in the bullpen. So I don't know if Lopez is going to make the move yet, but certainly timely. We noted that in between innings, Lopez spent a fair amount of time out in the circle before he left.
Well, with the exception of the first inning, this is really the first time there's been a base runner, particularly a leadoff man, on aboard. So maybe just time to give Ramon Jones a little bit of time to work, as you can see Perez is keeping a very close eye to see where he's at as he walks off.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what that was. That was just a bit of a time buyer for Ramon Jones, because it's a strange count to come out on, too, on a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
And that changeup's going to drift, and underneath it is Tulio Linares tracking that ball down for the first out.
Thought that might be bound for the gap, but it really hung up there for Linares to get over and make the catch.
It helped that it was tailing back towards the left fielder as opposed to tailing the other way. So Mariano Montero will step in with a runner on first and one away. He flied out in the third. I think what they're doing is moving some of the members of the Venezuelan team out of the bullpen.
Yeah, there's a bit of an entourage out there, and I think you're limited by the number of people you can send.
And I see Ramon Jones making the slow trot to the circle. I guess Ramon's going to make his own change.
Well, no, you don't have to go out to make the change. You just come down, remember to make the change with the off-field umpire first.
So I guess then not necessarily needing your manager to go out there to do that?
No, he is. He's down here.
No, I know, but he didn't actually go and meet Urbanet in the circle and take the ball. Like
I wonder if that was the message, was get this guy, and then that'll be it. That may have been the message when he was out there.
Well, it certainly didn't take Ramon Jones long to warm up. So this pitching break brought to you by Ballpark Broadcasting. So Ramon Jones takes over for Eric Urbanea, who did a fine job here. And he inherits a base runner, leadoff single from Gustavo Godoy. And if you haven't seen Ramon Jones, he brings the gas. One of the harder throwers in softball, being clocked at 87 miles an hour. Doesn't seem all that fast till you step in that box. And a big cut from Mariano Montero. So, Blair, you got to give Urbanea some credit. He got them to where he needed to, the fifth inning, with a lead. And now he turns it over to their ace, Ramon Jones.
Ramon has spent a lot of time on the mound here this week, perhaps more so than I would have thought in the round robin.
And that ball's driven out to the gap in right center, all the way to the wall, almost warning track, rounding third. Coming in, they're going to hold up. They got the runner pinned down at second. Over to third, tag made. So it looks like Mariano Montero got ahead of himself.
You know what? I'm going to put that one on Gamarcia, third base coach. He actually threw out a really late stop sign on the runner, Gustavo Godoy. And coming around was Mariano Montero. He was already well past second base. Now, maybe he picked up the sign late. It was definitely a late stop sign, but coming around second base was too far off as the throw came in right on the bag. And that's good defense by Venezuela with the throw right to the bag.
Now, I wasn't sure if that ball was going to find its way all the way to the wall. A good job in Rogelio Sequeira to get on that as the bunt attempt, snap throw down, not in time. Pablo Montero now steps in. 2 away and a runner on third. So an opportunity squandered, at least a base runner squandered, on what we would call a base running error from Mariano Montero.
Yeah, definitely a base running mistake. And now you're going to leave it up to your 9 batter to try and either turn over the order or get this run in. You're not going to get a lot of chances against Ramon Jones. You got to capitalize right here, right now.
And a swing and a miss. So big strikeout from Ramon Jones and an exclamation point. So they squander a leadoff walk and a double as well. As we head to the home half of 5, we continue the slide when we come back in a moment.
No runs on 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left on base.
Back here for the home half slide to 5. It'll be Jorge Lima, Iran Paez, and Rogelio Sequeira for Team Venezuela. So Venezuela dodged a bit of a bullet there, Blair, and a bit of a base running error. Not quite sure if we'll put that on the base runners, we'll put it on the coach, but I think we'll put it on them both. As a base runner, you have to pay a little more attention to the man ahead of you. As a coach, maybe like you suggested, they go with one of their pinch runners with a little more speed.
Yeah,
and he scores on that play.
There might have been an opportunity to get Mariano Mayoro or Mauricio Caceres in there for Gustavo Godoy. You got to realize you're not going to get that many chances to score. In any event,
the count 1-1 to Lima. Lima, of course, homered in the second. He's accounted for all of Venezuela's 2 runs.
a mistake pitch from Podolicio on the home run, catching way too much of the plate, kind of left one out there for Lima, and he absolutely hammered that ball to straightaway left field.
I mean, Juan's only given up 2 hits. And a swing and a miss. Good fastball tailing outside, sits down Lima.
11 on the afternoon for Juan Podolicio.
Well, more importantly, too, Blair, you talk about his 11 strikeouts, but Lima homers off him in the second. So the next time he comes up, Podolicio makes an adjustment.
Yeah.
And he works the outside part of the plate and gets the strikeout. And that's what world-class pitchers do. So Iran Paez now. He struck out to end the second. Shifting around and takes for a ball. In case you missed it, Japan 8-3 winners. They eliminate the Czech Republic team from the tournament. And of course, we know that the top 4 in each group advanced. The remaining 7 teams will be playing in the consolation round. Big swing and a miss. So Portolicio back in the count now, 2-1. And same spot. So Portolicio working that outside corner. He's got that pitch going that tails away from right-handed hitters. And it's been his bread and butter here. And a good nibble. Count full, though, to Paez. And a nibble, but no. Wanted that, but not close enough. So Paez draws a 1-out walk. So it looks like Carlos Ojeda will come into bat for Rogelio Sequeira. And that pitch up in the zone.
Good move here by Coach Lopez. Ojeda, one of the leading hitters for Venezuela in limited duty. 2 for 3 as a pinch hitter.
Not always easy to come off the bench.
Sorry, 2 for 6 as a pinch hitter.
And bunt attempt. Pitch in there for a called strike.
No, you went after it. You don't have any case to be turning around and looking at the umpire.
Well, I'm not sure what Ojeda's questioning, trying to tell his coach the pitch was outside. I don't know what happened. I can't believe it was a strike. But I think you went, and it was a strike. Not quite sure. That one looked actually better than the previous one, but.
Well, Juan is hot. He's going to come all the way into the plate and is going to have some words for our home plate umpire.
So 2 balls and 1 strike. Portolicio's going to have to collect himself. And that ball, big cut from Ojeda.
Ramon Godoy up again in the Argentine bullpen, throwing hard. Basically, Portolicio and Godoy split their number of innings over the course of the round robin. Huemo Mata only with about 5 innings. Same with Sebastian Gervasuti. Only a photographer in the Venezuelan bullpen.
And that ball's driven out, and that's going to be off the light pole. Home run for Carlos Ojeda. A 2-run shot has shocked Argentina. And just like that, it's 4-1 in favor of Venezuela.
That is the second pinch hit home run of the week for Carlos Ojeda. And Juan Portolicio felt that he perhaps had struck out Ojeda. And he's going to come in and have a couple of words there, as you see. Very upset with the umpire. Godoy trying to get him out of there now. But Juan, the mistake that Juan made actually was walking it on Paez. The 2 walks that he's given up, both of them have come around to score on home runs.
And walks will hurt you, and that's been the case. And I think Juan just naturally frustrated.
Well, Argentina is seeing their dream of being on the medal stand go away, and I think that's going to be it for Juan here as a 4-1 lead. Now, that's going to be very tough against Argentina. We'll come back after the pitching change break, brought to you by Ballpark Broadcasting.
Budweiser girls. Hey!
I wish it was that easy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what I'm doing here. I could
I'll be right here.
I could not.
Section 8, you're right up here. Or you're about halfway up.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, oh, it's very good.
I said, you know, I thought you'd just come sit down. Right? Till 10 to play the one game.
Oh yeah, right now you can go sit wherever you want.
Yeah.
When Canada comes, you go.
Oh God, yeah. Where's seating you in? Oh, I don't know. I'm just sitting down. No, you can't.
New pitcher, nouveau lanceur pour l'équipe de l'Argentine, for the Argentinian team.
So into pitch now will be Roman Godoy. Tough break for Juan Portolicio. But he put his heart and soul into this game. Didn't get the benefit of a couple of calls, and it certainly cost him. Either way, 2 runs pushed across to this point, courtesy of pinch hit home run from Carlos Ojeda. His second pinch hit home run of the tournament. And it's given Venezuela a 4-1 lead. And the leadoff man, Yadier Chirinos, looks at a called strike. He struck out twice today. So trying to avoid the trio of Ks. And if you don't know about Ramon Godoy, he throws hard, but he also has a back-breaking changeup that he utilizes as well. And Chirinos looked at 3 pitches, swung at them, and now he'll have a seat. So his 3rd time striking out. And that will bring up the number 2 hitter, Tulio Linares.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good night for Yadier Chirinos. Roman Godoy coming on, throwing smoke.
And there's that outside corner. So wouldn't give it to Juan, but definitely working it for Godoy. His home plate umpire, John Hand. And that pitch missing down. You can see Godoy's come in with a bit of a, certainly with some intensity. And not off the glove.
Body language not so good, Lance, for Argentina right now. There's some hanging heads out there in the outfield. And you got to regroup. This game is not over at all. You've got 2 at-bats still to work with. Get some balls in play, put some pressure on the defense. Try and get to Ramon Jones, too.
There's that changeup in there for a strike. And we talked about Ramon Jones, and we are still need convincing that he's able to compose himself in big games, in big situations. As that pitch missing down. So the count run full, 3-2.
We talked about Ramon Jones being a great front runner. This is the ideal situation for him to have come into a game up 2-1, now 4-1. And I will say advantage Venezuela, but it's not a big one.
Strikeout, so down goes Linares, but not before. Pinch hit home run has added to the tally. 4-1 in favor of Venezuela. Back here for the sixth in a moment.
2 runs, 1 hit, no errors, no one left on base. 2 points sur un coup sûr. Aucune erreur et aucun homme laissé sur les buts.
Back here for the top of the sixth inning. It'll be the 1-2-3 hitters for Argentina, trailing 4-1 to Team Venezuela. Ramon Jones in the game now, in relief of Eric Urbanea, who got them to the fifth inning. So it'll be Malarchuk, followed by Migliavaca and Mata. Malarchuk working on a 2-for-2 ball game. He singled, had an infield single in the first and homered in the third.
Lance, right before or as the inning ended, rather, Coach Julio Gamarsi gathered in the Argentine players and give the team a little bit of a pep talk, letting everybody know that this is not over with.
Good coaching move. You always want to take that time and pull your team together so they can regroup. And I think with the sun.
Yeah, Carlos Ojeda, who stayed in the game for Rogelio Sequeira out in right field, forgot to take the sunglasses with him. And with the setting, or not setting, but the afternoon sun, you're looking right into it from right field.
Swing and a miss. Had a notion, but kept the bat on the shoulder, did Malarchuk. His first look at Jones. And that's a chopper up the middle, but Chirinos tried to get a hold of it. So leadoff man aboard on an infield hit.
Oh, I'm going E6 on that.
E6, that's a tough play.
Well,
that's a slow chopper over the pitcher's head. Well, we'll see what they scored, and they do score an error. So E6, the commish is correct. And regardless, leadoff man aboard for Migliavaca. Teo is 0 for 2, reach base in the first on a fielder's choice. Swing and a miss. Certainly not out of it, Argentina. You're down 3.
No, you're down 3, and you've got the heart of your order coming up. Migliavaca here. The good thing about Jones is, as hard as he throws, you can look down. He doesn't really throw the ball up above the thighs, and he does have a changeup, but by and large, you're going to get 3 or 4 hard ones from Ramon Jones down. The idea is just not to chase too far down or out of the zone like that pitch there. See, it's that easy.
Easy. Very easy. That's a one hopper with a first, and it will be John Zambrano that does it himself. No chance to get the lead runner. So Himio Mata steps in now. He's 0 for 2. Runner in scoring position with 1 away. And I mean, if you're Argentina, Blair, you try your best to scratch one out here. You hold. And then you're back at it, maybe down 2 as opposed to down 3. But again, getting something going against Ramon Jones isn't always easy. Although you did give us the simplest solution to. It sounded like you looked that up and Googled it. So a bit of a conference as Flores is going to go out with a quick word to his pitcher, and yeah, that was short.
I don't know that Jones really is into conversations on the mound. He brushed off everybody yesterday in the Dominican game at one point.
That pitch wanted on the outside part of the plate, didn't get it. And you can tell that Team Argentina certainly not intimidated by Ramon Jones by any stretch. They're dug in there just as deep as they were. Big swing and a miss. Now, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to come away with a hit. It just means that you're not intimidated.
Yeah, that was one of the few times that Jones has gone upstairs in the zone there, too, which is interesting. Mata chased that one way up.
And see if he was able to hold off. Runner scoots down to third. They're going to appeal, and he did not go. So Malarchuk is down at third base. And Mata working with a 2-2 count here. Just one away, so a chance here to cash this run. And that ball is lifted sky high. Torino settling under it, battling the sun, makes the grab. So Jones induces the pop-up from Mata. And that will bring up Bruno Matroni.
So Lance Wynn just got handed the lineups for Team Canada, Team Australia, to the surprise of absolutely no one. It'll be Adam Falkard and Sean Cleary starting for Australia and Canada, respectively.
Jones missing outside to Matroni. Matroni 0 for 2. Of course, the leading hitter on this Argentinian squad. And that will roll down to first, and it'll be Zambrano. So nothing doing here, despite leaving a runner on stranded on third base. No runs pushed across, 4-1. We head to the home half of 6 after this. So Luger Pinto ready to lead things off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Venezuela holding a 3-run lead over Argentina. Ramon Godoy, or let's try that again, Roman Godoy in the circle for Argentina in relief of Juan Porlicio. And there's that changeup that's over for a called strike. Pinto 0 for 2, a ground out and a strikeout. Big twist there, fouled out of play. So you go from one hard thrower to the other. Porlicio doesn't quite have the changeup that Godoy has, but certainly the experience makes up for it, nibbling on the outside corner but not getting the call. And had a notion but held up, did Pinto. And there's a changeup, and it misses. Leadoff walk issued to Pinto will bring up John Zambrano. Looks like it'll be a pinch hitter for Zambrano, who struggled.
Carlos Rivero will step in.
Rivero squares and watches a strike go by. So an important run here. You push this one across, all of a sudden the lead is 4. And that's an awful lot for Ramon Jones to work with. And that pitch is flared out. That's going to drop in no man's land, base hit. So a pinch hit, base hit for Carlos Rivero. And Venezuela has something cooking here in the 6th. So Pedro Gonzalez now comes in to hit for Rafael Flores. Flores was 0 for 1, walked and scored on the Lima home run, and maybe time for a bit of a chit-chat.
Curious move to pinch hit for Flores. I guess he didn't like the strikeout, the way that went down in the 4th.
Well, at the same time, you look at what Carlos Ojeda's done. You take a look at now what Carlos Rivero's done, and they both delivered hits in a pinch hit capacity. So something is working.
Pressing all the right buttons, so keep pressing them.
I think so, and that just seems to be the case here, as looks like might be time to break up this conference here. So set to go now. And gassing it up, not able to get the bunt down, was Pedro Gonzalez. And you're right, Blair, a bit of a curious move, but at the same time, these managers know their players a little better than we do. And it's, of course, our job to second guess some of the decisions. Ultimately, they may know something we don't. It certainly worked for them up to this point. And that ball is driven out to center field. Tracking it out there is Migliavaca. And, of course, scooting over is Pinto. So he'll tag on the play. No chance for Rivero to advance. And Gonzalez with a flyout.
Well, I think, Lance, that's what you mentioned earlier. Venezuela looking to score this one more run. That's exactly what they're focused on right here. And another pinch hitter, that's Arturo Asasio for Venezuela at the plate.
Arturo Acasio.
So Asasio, he looks swinging at a strike. And that ball driven to center. That's a base hit. One run's going to come in to score. So an RBI single for Asasio. And once again, Blair
Pressing all the right buttons.
pushing all the right buttons to cash in another. And it's 5-1 Venezuela.
But more importantly, the leadoff walk. Every single walk in this game issued by Argentina has come in to score. Flores in the second, Paez in the fifth, and now Pinto here in the sixth.
So they don't make up that cliche for nothing. Walks do come back to hurt you and haunt you. And Godoy's all over the outside corner to Jorge Lima. Lima, of course, homered and struck out. And again, timely hitting for this team, Blair. You look at the batting averages and think, well, they're not one or two guys really scorching the ball. You have Chirinos batting some 360. He's has the highest batting average on the team. But these guys just continue to win games because they get those timely hits. You pull guys off the bench, they hit the ball. Change up, swing and a miss. Down goes Lima. So Iran Paez now. He's 0 for 1 with a walk, scored a run. That, of course, like you said, Blair, the walk in the fifth. He was on base when Ojeda went deep. And that pitch in there for a strike.
And that really is the difference right now. I mean, the home runs are the home runs, but you can't defense a walk. You cannot do anything about it. And the three of them all coming around to score.
And a big windup gets away. So both runners now will advance. So second and third here for Paez. He's in the hole though, 0-2. And a good hard attempt at that outside corner. So what once was an outside corner, so Godoy is going to have to change. And
up, but
so Paez has worked the count even at, and there's those Paez. 4, they add a bit of insurance. 1, last chance.
We got 2 men left on base. Sur les buts. Après 6 innings of Team Argentina.
All 3 outs is Team Argentina. It'll be Fernando Petrick followed hole 0-1. He's able to not only the ace of the squad, but all. And Argentina's going to have to show a little bit of fight here if they want to. And a good cut, fouled straight back, but just a strike to Petrick. Canada, Australia followed New Zealand as this the second single in public, 8-3. The winner of this game, of course, the loser to proceed this.
We understand the schedule as it's been drawn up here: Canada, Australia, and the Dominican Republic.
And that's a one-hopper. That's going to be foul.
Dead ball at the plate.
Place Chet credit there. He did hustle, made the play to Manuel Godoy to keep the.
Breeze.
I sure did.
Attaboy.
And it can't. Team Argentina needs.
Flores letting everybody know that there's.
Well, always good to send a reminder. Sometimes. And fittingly, an L game put together by and eliminate Argentina. And Blair, just your hitting by committee.
Today is the coach, and of the community is the coach Lopez. Looking like potentially a team able to do that tomorrow. Ken Ballpark Broadcasting.
So that will do a Venezuela game. Venezuela advancing. They'll be